But yes, I'm in here to share some of my experiences, some best practices, actually a method that is composed of best facilitation practices. And yes, to talk about the tool. And I'm absolutely honored to have you in here. I believe that I believe in the agile world. I think we share the belief in the power of the groups, the power of the individuals together, and the power of facilitation in making better organizations. So I think we have many shared beliefs. I hope so. So yes, Pepe, facilitator from Finland, the north of Europe. We are in here to learn a method, but I would actually be happy if instead of the method, we would be going a little bit deeper on learning the philosophy behind it, or the kind of theory behind it, which will probably help you a little bit more. Because I think lots of the thinking of how we work with groups, I believe is wrong. So I would like to talk a little bit about the way of working with groups, making decisions together. This is what we're doing here. We're in here to learn a method. So we're going to have a beginning, which is now. We're going to have a little theory on group decision making. We're going to talk about the simple method, and we're going to finish at 1 o'clock. And this is the program now. And before, yes, keep your microphone, please, muted. I think they're automatically muted. If you get bored, I suggest you chatting all the time. I will not be looking and seeing the chat because I'm all the time talking. So, but if you have some extra ideas, extra capacity, please use the chat for chatting with everyone else. Have fun, enjoy. And patience, I'm visiting Argentina. This is not where I normally work, and anything can happen with my connection, with the connection with others. And but typically we always get to the objective. Yes, we will get it done. Might be some challenges. All right. Could you please kindly, just for me to know, to see, why are you here? Please write in the chat. Why are you here? All right, excellent, excellent, thank you. And I'm going to take just one comment, which is I see the last one here now, right now, is Miodrag Vučković. Can I have you online, please?
Yes.
So you really have the Idealogue book.
Yes, yes, I do. But it's always nicer to see and hear from the author, especially, and not just to read the book, because I think it seems like an interesting method, really.
All right, thank you. It is it's the English version. I mostly work in the East and Asia, the kind of very Eastern Europe, Ukraine, Russia, and China, Japan. And I have my books usually in all strange languages. Don't know many people who have actually bought my book in English. So this is, I'm proud of you that someone has found it and you are in here too. And I'm proud everyone else is in here too. So yes. And I looked what you wrote in the chat. You all would like to know a method. And this is mostly you would like to learn more facilitation. And I think you are so far you're in the right place. Thank you. So let me start with a little introduction to group decision making. And this is the little history part. Group decision making is difficult. If we go back to 30 or 40, to the 30s, 40s, which is like 80 years ago, the father of social psychology, father of facilitation, Kurt Lewin, he said that people have a tendency to kill each other's ideas. And this is, you can try this. You go to a meeting and you tell the people a radical idea. And most likely everyone, you just tell your idea, put it on the table, and you'll get everyone to attack it and kill it. You must have tried it. This is the human tendency. If it's not something that's already in your head, your system starts resisting it. So how do you kind of make decisions when everyone's attacking each other's ideas? So we go to the history then, and I think this is the current model of thinking we have. This is the model we use. You must have seen it. I think it comes from the 40s or 50s. There is, I think in the 40s, it was Alex Osborne in America who started experimenting with brainstorming methods. And the idea was that you first create ideas and then you start choosing the ideas. It is, and there was a psychologist called Guilford who actually made this picture and said that there are two types of thinking. There is divergent and convergent thinking. This came in the 50s. So the idea here is that you separate the ways of thinking. This is that in order to avoid the people from attacking all these ideas, you first start by creating ideas. And only then you start choosing the ideas. Then at some point in this history, what happened was you create lots of ideas in here. You don't really understand them. You have a problem of sense making. So in the 70s and 80s, everybody started categorizing. And you all know that the thing of categorizing, you take the Post-it note and create ideas and you make categories. And I think this is the current way of facilitating. You create ideas, then you make categories, and then you prioritize the categories. You all must have seen this, right? It must be common. Helmi from Berlin.
Yeah, it's very common.
This is, you have seen this happen, haven't you? You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, we do it in every retro, in every planning, in every breaking down, every day.
All right. So this, it is, if I say it's the current model, you can agree with me. Thank you. All right. So now I'm going to a little bit perhaps criticize the model, but I'll tell you a story. I will criticize the model a little bit, and then I will propose you an alternative to do this different. And a little story is this is actually not Big Barbara, but this is a printing machine. And it all started with a printing machine called Big Barbara. Big Barbara was printing most of the newspapers in my country, Finland. So it was a big, huge printing machine. And in 2000, it was decided that it's using too much electricity. It is not very modern. It's not very fast, and it has to be replaced. But people loved Big Barbara. In the printing company, they loved Big Barbara, and they decided that they actually want to think of a purpose, different papers and different purpose that we could how we could use Big Barbara. What we could use Big Barbara for. So we gathered all these people from different departments of the company, and we had a brainstorming session, creating ideas what to do with Big Barbara. And I was very proud facilitator. I used what we call in here, we call divergence. We created 200 different ideas what we could be doing with the Big Barbara. I was using all kinds of methods, you know, classical brainstorming, listing ideas. I said no criticism on each other's ideas. We were creating lots of ideas. And finally, we did not categorize them, but we prioritized 10 best ideas and we made prototypes and evaluated. In the end of the session, the big boss came. The big boss came to me, and I will have the big boss is here. The big boss has a hat like a big boss. And the big boss was unhappy. And the big boss told me that, Pepe, at the beginning, we started creating ideas. We had lots of fun. We used all these methods. It was fantastic. But then when we chose these ideas, I really don't understand why we chose these 10 ideas. Because I think they were all crap. Now that, well, at that moment, he probably thought they were okay because he didn't say anything. I asked the group, but still, you know, he said that now I think, you know, this we didn't really get good results. And then I went back to the group and I asked them that what happened in the session. And they said that they created lots of ideas, and then they prioritized the ideas, and the ideas they prioritized, they were the ones they understood the best, mostly their own. But the 90% of the ideas they had created, they did not understand really what's behind them. So in order to understand an idea, you have to understand the thinking behind it. You cannot understand the idea if you cannot criticize, you cannot ask, you cannot talk about it. So it is just simple words on the top. I could call them the simple ideas, I call them cold ideas. You're not really getting deeper into them if you don't talk about them. So the problem, what we're actually doing today, we have a poor understanding, we create ideas, we don't really talk about them. Then when we have, then we categorize them in the middle. You can imagine that we have many different ideas of how to make paper, we categorize them, and then the ideas get lost. Well, I have a problem. My problem is I have a stomach ache, I have headache, and there is something wrong with my knee. I categorize them, and it becomes I have health problems. The fact that I have health problems is not going to help anyone to solve the problem. Actually, I should get deeper into the fact, why do I have problems with my knee instead? So people tend to first they create ideas, lots of ideas, then they don't understand them. And because they want to make sense, they make categories and they quickly prioritize. And actually, I think the group results are not very good. Instead, I talk about an approach where you can create ideas with more dialogue, putting more dialogue in creating ideas. I never categorize nothing, and actually perhaps putting more dialogue into the decision making as well. So this is the proposal. We'll be talking about how to do it later. Yes, so actually slowing down the first part, and I'm sorry, I talk about emergence instead of, don't worry about it, you can use whatever you want, but I was not using the word anymore of, like in here, you see the divergent. My clients typically don't need to diverge. They already come into the room with an idea. Everybody had an idea about what to do with Big Barbara, but they actually needed to explain their thinking. And they needed to bring the ideas into view. So this is the dialogue and the part I prefer talking about emergent thinking because people don't need to diverge. They need to understand each other. So putting more time in the beginning, actually into talking about the ideas, increases the quality of ideas. Then we have another one, if we start slowing down, having more discussion on why do we choose ideas actually makes better ideas, better decisions. So, before we go further, could you put just something in the chat so I feel a little bit more connected? Did you hear anything interesting so far? You can put no, you might have a question. If they have lots of questions, I will not answer them all, but just to make me feel happier and connected, write something in the chat for me. Fantastic, some things. And Maru is a fan of Kurt Lewin, so am I, and now, yes. All right. And there is a question from Miodrag. And the difference between what I think emergence is that divergence as a word is about diverging, creating more. And the problem with in the companies that I work with is not about that they don't have ideas. Actually, people tend to have lots of ideas about their work. And I come there and I start diverging more, I'm actually creating more problems. So I don't like the word about divergent. I think I come into the room, I work as a facilitator. What I want to do is to bring ideas into view. I want them to kind of put them on the table and start discussing what's behind them, to get the people to discuss what's behind them, which, by the way, is not easy. People have a tendency that they don't like, when they have an idea, they actually don't want to listen. People don't want to listen. So, my friend, sorry to, 1 second, my Miodrag. Miodrag, can I have you online for a second?
Yes.
Do you think my explanation was clear?
Yeah, it was mainly what I expected, but I did want to hear your perspective on it. I do know what emergence is from complexity thinking and stuff, but I wanted to hear what do you mean exactly in this context about emergence and divergence. Okay.
You know, have you also seen some people put it in between? They put it in here, something in where they talk about grown zone, they talk about emergence here or something else. Have you seen that as well?
Not really.
Not really. Okay, all right. So Okay, thank you for your comments. Let's get to the in the Idealogue method. So you can also the only difference, some people put emergence in the middle. That first you create a diverge, then you start creating understanding behind the ideas, and then you start choosing. The only why I don't put it in the middle is the fact that if I create ideas, lots of ideas, and then I start explaining all of them, all the thinking behind each idea one by one, actually it gets boring. When I try to get the people to explain, criticize. That's something. I think people have to be able to criticize, to understand and ask questions, not necessarily being like being kind of a angry criticism. I'm not talking about. People have to be able to ask questions and get into the ideas right from the beginning to understand what's behind them. All right, let's go to the next one. Let's go forward let's go to the Idealogue method, and let me first clean up my drawings. All right. We're going to have a talk about Idealogue method. Our focus is today, we're going to talk about emergent thinking. It is going to be about one way of getting the people to understand each other and getting them to talk. And so we go to the Idealogue method. This is the symbol of the Idealogue method. It is actually a guy, it's a thief. So this is all about stealing. Idealogue method is all about stealing ideas from each other. And I will soon explain it to you. Why do we steal? But we will go through 5 stages of Idealogue. And then I think I'm going to ask you, what do you think about it? Was it clear for you? So, in Idealogue method, when we ask people to create ideas, we start from individual stage. And in here, you have an explanation. Participants are asked to write down their ideas in silence. For instance, this is a command, what I ask the people to do. So I come from a country with lots of introverts. Finland is a country of introverts. I go to a factory and I ask the people, the engineers, to tell me what's the problem in the factory. And nobody will say nothing. So individual stage, I tell them to take a piece of paper and start writing ideas. And yes, I'm going to get a group of 15 engineers. In a couple of minutes, I might get 10 problems from each. So that could be 150 ideas. So I'm in trouble already after this. So don't do this if you don't have enough time, but we'll actually help the people come up with ideas very fast. And also people get to go inside. They are very logical. So we start by asking people for ideas. So the next one, and now it gets probably more interesting. We asked the people to steal with pride. We introduced the ground rule, steal with pride, and we have groups of 3. And let me explain why we do this. So we told the people, I work a lot in competitive organizations, and the people, when they have ideas, we tell them to share ideas. And actually, it's a group task to sharing things. If you are a competitive person, you have a new idea in your head, yes, you want to tell about your ideas, but you don't really want to listen to the others because your idea comes with an emotion. You're excited about it. So it's difficult to get people to share for a long time. We told these people, competitive people, to have your piece of paper, go around, talk to the people you need to, and then and steal their ideas. Stealing ideas, it's not an individual task. I'm sorry, it is an individual competitive task. And we actually got the people explain. It's cheating the people into a dialogue. That it's cheating people. We say that try to get all the best ideas on your own piece of paper. Yes. Best products and services or ideas, yes. Collect the best things on your own piece of paper. It's competitive. And it works a lot better than sharing. There are also other things in here. It seems very simple. It is groups of 3. So sometimes we work in a group of 2, but the dynamics don't work. Sometimes we work in a group of 4, 5, 6, and actually the introverted people start dropping out. If you want to have a good discussion, the best group size is always 3. So we steal ideas with pride. We try to, it's competitive. We tell, listen, and develop. And sometimes I've had longer sessions, but usually 15 minutes is good. Then we do repeated stealing. We do 3 or 4 rounds. After 4 rounds, the energy starts going down. Typically, the people find this very energizing. You change the groups, then you have a new group, you have a new group. And this is when we start creating consensus, because the best ideas start spreading around. And actually, the more you start discussing, well, when I tell an idea, sometimes I understand immediately that was not such a good idea. Sometimes my friends enforce one of my ideas. And actually, the more you repeat the stealing, the more you start having consensus on the best ideas. Some of the ideas start living. So this is actually a hidden consensus method. And you start having less ideas, and the people start convincing each other. And yes, you repeat a couple of times, you have the best group size, you have good talk, good talk, good talk. And finally, you ask the people to try to reach consensus, choose the best ideas. And what is also a little interesting here is that write down, yes, the number is not limited. Sometimes it's quite often the facilitators say that write 3 ideas. I only say that write down the best ideas, and all the ideas cannot be the best. So if you have 4 best ideas and the facilitator says that write 3, that means you are, I was going to say raping the group, that's not good, but kind of, you're forcing the group to do something that they don't want to do. Or if they have only 2 ideas, choose good ideas worth being best. And then you're actually telling them to write down 3 again. You're forcing them to do something that was not necessary. So I just say choose the best ideas. Finally, check the timing, so okay. The last thing, you have the ideas on the wall. So in here, this is probably what is the most important part here is that I don't categorize them. I spend the time on understanding the ideas. Here you can evaluate them if you want. You can prioritize them if you can put them in the order, but you actually make sure that people understand the ideas. I normally at this stage, if the stealing has been good, it's enough to read the ideas. The only one who doesn't understand the ideas is the facilitator, because he or she was not in the groups and doesn't understand them. So it's usually enough you read the ideas, you ask the people, is everything clear? You don't need to present them, you don't need to categorize them, and you can, in the end, you can evaluate, for instance, with 5 fingers, what do you think about the results? So this is the Idealogue stages. First, you work individually. Then you start stealing in groups of 3. This is the idea is to be competitive. try to get the best ideas, collect the best ideas on your own piece of paper. You repeat it to create consensus in the room. And finally, you select the ideas, put them on the wall, and evaluate them. So please help me and write something in the chat. Especially, I'm interested in the last. I would like to think of when you can apply the method. If you can put some ideas in the chat for me, that will make me happy. About Idealogue, what do you like about it? What do you dislike? When could you apply the method? If you can put an idea for me in the chat for a couple of minutes, and that will make me super happy. All right. So this is there's a comment that when there are small groups, you don't do this so much. I actually do even small groups and stealing when I work a lot with management teams, and the management teams sometimes don't have more than 6 participants. If we work as a one big group all day, it gets boring. The energies don't work. So I tend to break them into small groups and stealing with each other. While we might have one group of, if it's 6 persons, we might work 3 and 3, and then have another round with 2s. So actually to have lots of discussion in small groups as well to change the kind of the dynamics. There is Vlada is asking, should the partner connect the ideas with the original authors? No, I don't do that. We typically the ideas develop and change on the way. It's difficult to find, and people start believing it's theirs. They become common. Ideas tend to become common when you do more stealing. People forget where they come from, and they become group ideas. And that's what I like. This is the result I want to get in the end, and not to have the original authors. At least, unless they want, they can. They can. Multiple rounds. Mattia is asking if the groups are not competitive. So I was doing an Idealogue session for facilitators in Florida, and my colleagues told me that they are going to kill me when I use this method, because in Florida they were public sector facilitators, mostly rather old females, and I was told that they hate stealing. And actually, when we got the group stealing, they worked fantastic, and they just loved stealing. Maybe you have to talk about introduce the stealing with a little smile on your face. But it tends to work. People, I think, all the people are competitive to some extent. At least that has not happened to me that it doesn't work. All right. Yes. How are the ideas written down? All right, I have for Daniel, for instance, if I can do this with Zoom, we use groups of 3, groups of 3, group of 3, and finally we might have a memory like PowerPoints where we write them, or we might use them on write them here on a whiteboard. we might open a whiteboard and finally, let's write down the best ideas in Zoom. I think in here, on the instructions here, it was one idea per paper, big letters. I make sure so that everyone can see it. And I never use the small post-its. If I use post-its, I use jumbo post-its or big size copy paper. Don't use small papers because people cannot see them from far away. All right. So this is the Idealogue method. Couple of words when to apply. This is, by the way, my business secret in front of us now, right now. This is my business. I go around the world and I teach people to do workshops. And I think workshop is not just one emergence and convergence, it's typically many. And I teach people to do workshop, 3-stage workshop. Some people make 7, 8, 9 to 10. It's too complicated. I actually always, we clarify the problem or the goal, we create solutions, we make actions. And we put the best tools on each stage. Idealogue is excellent when you're clarifying a problem. I use it for clarifying the problem. We might get people coming from different parts of the organization. On an initial stage, they are blaming each other, but we actually ask them how to do it. We ask them to discuss the problems, and they tend to go deeper, discussing in the big groups. Typically would be that the marketing is saying sales is not doing something, finance is saying people are lazy, some of the production is not doing something right. But then when you go deeper, actually you start finding common under the real problems. So we do clarifying, stealing the problems. We do lots of clarifying goals, goal setting. It's very interesting. We have a management teams, they can create a 3-year goal. What are the goals? You write down the goals and then you start stealing the ideas from each other, and you're all the time explaining, and in the finally you put down the key goals and typically have a quite good understanding and consensus on them. Quite often on the solution stage, in clarifying stage, people tend to find many problems or many goals. If you have many goals, it gets messy if you use Idealogue. You can use other methods for the solution stage, unless you have one clear problem. Like on my creativity sessions, I use Idealogue. We have one clear issue that we want to create, and we start using Idealogue a lot. But if I would have let's say 3 strategic goals, which one is growth, happiness, and making lots of money or whatever, Idealogue would not work very well because there are actually 3 different problems that are not always connected. We use Idealogue for actioning. What are your action points? What are you going to do? And actually, this is very important that you share the actions you're going to do. You share them with different people. Your actions get stronger, plus they get aligned with each other. So you can use Idealogue for the action stage as well. So this is what you use Idealogue for. Again, slowing down, the key point here. The key point maybe here is not Idealogue. Slowing down emergence increases the quality of ideas. This was the message I wanted. And emergence and the ideas get developed in small groups, and the best group size is 3. There is a book. If you're interested, the book has actually how to combine. I'm sorry about this one. The book is about how to combine Idealogue with many tools, how to create a vision using Idealogue, how to define a problem using Idealogue, how to do action planning, with Idealogue. So that's what the book is about. If you're really interested in facilitation tools and how to use them, this is my monster of 460 pages with all the tools and how to combine them and use them in workshops. So if you're interested, you might try this one. Has also theory about a little bit about the history, a little bit more about the history and different tools, how they evolved. Then to finish the day, I'd like to know, how are you feeling? Please choose the picture that best reflects your answer. Choose the picture and write the number in the chat.
Yeah, I had a question and I raised my hand. I'm not sure whether you were able to see it.
No, I didn't see that. I apologize.
No problem. So my question is, how is the idea selected in the final stage? Is there some kind of voting? Because there could be a lot of different good ideas.
So the point was that we choose the best ideas, and actually we try to form consensus in the groups that they agree that these are the best ideas, and we put them on the wall. Then you have the whole group, and you can, if you want to do more, you can actually still prioritize them. You can ask the people to do dot voting, you can ask them to invest dollars, but that already depends a little bit on the situation. And this is actually, if we want to get into because we talk about our key focus today is in the first part, how to get dialogue into the first part. If we go to the second part, if you've done a good job, if you've done a good job and the group has lots of agreement, there is lots of consensus already after Idealogue. But you still might, for instance, use the groups of 3. Now look at all the ideas, and I could do the same thing that we did, but just for choosing. Choose the best ideas on your own. Now let's work with the group of 3, influence each other, work with another group of 3, influence each other, work with another group, influence with each other. And if you don't get a consensus after that, yes, it's a miracle if you don't get the consensus after that. But yes, because you're putting lots of dialogue in. Hey, did I make any sense?
Yes, you did. So, so primarily you are saying we might have to go through, if the group is large, we might have to go through a couple of iterations of 3 groups of 3 people meeting.
Yes, exactly.
Thank
All right,
you.
it's the time. I want to have one comment from Jim, since you were the first one. Why number 6?
I feel empowered. I feel like I can take some of these ideas and potentially apply them in my situation. I'm looking forward to learning more.
All right, excellent. Thank you. Stephen.
Yes.
Am I on time?
You are exactly on time.
All right, it's terrible because we have to finish.
It is.
All right, everybody. Absolutely fantastic to have you to be here. It's been an honor to talk about my favorite thing, which is facilitation and how to get better group results. Thank you for coming, and let's keep in touch.
Thank you, Pepe.
Thank you.